Voting is an opportunity for voices to be heard. It's one of our most important freedoms. Voting isn't just a right, it's a privilege, and the power to speak up and choose people that represent your values and beliefs. KCAT TV is proud to present Coffee&Candidates, one-on-one interviews to introduce candidates running for council in Los Gatos and Monte Sereno. Let's welcome our host, Dr. Larry Gerston.
Hi, I'm Larry Gerston. Let's have coffee with the candidates. Come on in. Welcome to Coffee&Candidates, brought to you by the Los Gatos Community Foundation, the Tour Factory, and the Los Gatos Coffee Roasting Company. Also, let's not forget, we're here in the KCAT studios, and of course we couldn't have done it without our sponsors or KCAT, so we thank them all. Today we have with us Maria Ristow. She's running for one of the 4-year seats, correct?
Correct.
For the town council. There are 2 of those, 5 candidates for the 2 4-year seats. Okay. If you're confused, we'll draw diagrams. Okay. Anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Larry. Thank you. Well, first of all, I grew up in Chicago. My husband and I were both working in high tech in Chicago when, in 1987, we both had opportunities to move out to Silicon Valley. So, didn't ever really want to leave, but I thought we'll be out here for a couple years, we'll try the Silicon Valley experience. And much to my surprise, we moved to Los Gatos and I just fell in love. So we like to say we came out here for Silicon Valley, but we stayed because of Los Gatos.
And that was 33 years ago, is that right?
Exactly. You just never know where your life is going to lead you. But no, it was great. I fell in love with the community. I love the fact that we have a vibrant town where I can pretty much find anything I need, shop for everything within town. I love the size of the community. We've got enough people and enough businesses that we can serve everybody's needs, but it's small enough that you can really get to know people well. And it's got the most beautiful setting. Growing up in the Midwest, I was used to tall buildings, and coming out here, tall hills, mountains, the ocean. I mean, you really can't pick a better place.
You don't plan on leaving?
I don't. If I live another 33 years, I know exactly where they're all going to be.
That's nice. That's nice that you're comfortable. And you've been involved with a lot of campaigns in Los Gatos, correct?
That's true. I've always been interested in local politics, and after my husband and I had children, I gave up that commute to Palo Alto and decided to stay in Los Gatos and just delve into the community. So first I started volunteering at my church, at a co-op preschool, at their elementary school. I joined the soccer league and coached soccer. I coached volleyball. I sat on the board of the soccer league. And with each step, I became further enmeshed in the community. So it's probably hard to imagine, but the Los Gatos United Soccer League places about 1,700 kids a year in the rec programs. And so I oversaw that and got to know people at all the schools, all the neighborhoods. It was a great experience, and I really got to understand the town better. In the meantime, I continued following local issues. So I attended or streamed the Planning Commission meetings and the Town Council meetings for the last 20 years, and just felt further and further involved. And this felt like a community I really understood and loved.
It sounds like you do. Now, it's one thing, of course, to be behind the candidate. It's another thing to be the candidate. What made you decide to take that next step?
Well, one thing that was huge was in 2014, I signed up for Leadership Los Gatos, which is a 1-year program that exposes all of us to different aspects of the town. And what was great about our graduating class, if you will, we all ended up in different areas. I had been appointed to the Housing Element Advisory Board, and at the end of Leadership Los Gatos, I applied for and was appointed to the Transportation and Parking Commission, which is kind of a passion of mine. Somebody else in our class became the executive director of NUMU. Someone else became a school board trustee. And so it was really great because we were all learning together and then kind of spread out into the community to become leaders. And that gave me the confidence.
So it was the fact that you felt you had enough knowledge about the town that made you decide, you know what, I've helped other people govern the town. I want to govern it now too. Is that fair?
Exactly. I have served on 4 or 5 different commissions in the last 6 years, and they're all advisory to the town council.
Yes.
I feel like I've watched the issues, I've attended council meetings and spoken out on a variety of issues, and there's a great opportunity this year. We have no incumbents. We've got all new people running for council, and I've been doing the work. I've been studying the issues, I've done my homework, and I'm ready to help make those decisions.
So let's go there. You've been studying the issues. Pick 2 issues that you think need attention and that you want to make sure get resolved.
Okay, one that is a personal issue for me is connectivity. Safe connectivity for everybody in town. So I know people talk about traffic, and we do need to make sure our roads are safe and that it's easy for people to get around. But I also know in the climate that we've got, and with kind of a health conscious community that we've got, a lot of people would prefer to walk or bike places, but we don't have the safe infrastructure to get around everywhere. The Los Gatos Creek Trail is great, but we can't really connect East Los Gatos to it yet. So to that end, I also got involved with Safe Routes to School, because I absolutely know my kids enjoyed walking and biking to school pretty much every day, kindergarten through high school, and I know that certain parts of our community were not connected as well. And so I've been working with Safe Routes to help with education and to help with working toward getting grants for infrastructure and improving that experience.
So more bike lanes, better crosswalks, at intersections. The one that comes to my mind is when I take my life in my hands and I'm on Highway 9 and I attempt to cross the entrance and exit from Highway 17. I say a prayer wondering if this is the last time I'll be doing it. That kind of thing?
Yeah, that one's really key. And you know, the short answer is there's not going to be a solution immediately, but ultimately Caltrans is intending to change that intersection. 17 and 9 will be improved to the point where the cars will be coming up at a right angle. There's going to be bike and pedestrian lanes. Right now we're working on an access from Highway 9 down to the Creek Trail so people can connect there. One of the things that can be frustrating is right now everything's not connected. We don't have continuous sidewalks. We don't have great ways to cross 17 in most of the town, but we've got a lot of great plans. And some of the things I'm looking at that have been put into place were only thoughts 20 years ago. And if people just wished for it, it wouldn't have happened. But it's the hard work of the staff, commission members, community members who do the volunteer work, who count pedestrians and bikes, who gather the data to get the grants, that are slowly but surely improving the whole walking and biking experience.
Okay, so you mentioned connectivity, giving that a lot of thought. Give me one more.
The vitality of our businesses. I think there was a lot of concern about vacancies or how downtown was doing before COVID came. And right now, with the impacts of the COVID pandemic, we know that our restaurants are struggling. We know our businesses are struggling. And this is critical for our future for a lot of reasons. I mean, one of the things I love about Los Gatos and that makes Los Gatos a special community is we do have essentially full service. You can get almost everything you need in town. I think it's really important to maintain the downtown and the shopping districts. It's important to have 2 hardware stores. It's great that we have 3 dance studios. We've got bike shops. We've got most of the needs that our residents require. And so I think that coming out of COVID, we need to make sure that the town, the Chamber of Commerce, and the businesses continue to collaborate to figure out what it'll take to help these businesses recover and succeed.
Many of the restaurants, not all, but many of them are on Santa Cruz Avenue. Does it pay to shut down the street for those 2 or 3 blocks from car traffic and put it all on University so that the residents can really spread out, the restaurants can spread out? Or is that no good?
Everyone has different ideas, but when the Town Council and Chamber of Commerce were discussing it, that option came up, and there's a big downside to that. Besides the impact on our local residential streets, the other problem we've got is a lot of times people see the downtown or learn about the restaurants because they're driving through, and so you lose that visibility. And most of the businesses downtown said they wanted to retain the car traffic right now.
So this is something that you don't have an answer to, but when you get on the council, you want to find an answer with the others.
Right, as we're moving forward, that's a fair statement.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
we don't know how the recovery will be. I think we do know that we're going to retain outdoor dining. I think people have been asking for it for a long time. It's what's keeping our restaurants alive right now, but I think it's also added a vitality that, you know, as we move forward, just doing it in a better way, keeping that outside dining, and then let's look and see what the impacts are.
Okay.
But I do know that unlike Mountain View, unlike Los Altos,
Castro Street,
unlike Palo Alto, we don't have that grid. We don't have a traffic grid around our main strip.
Right.
And closing Santa Cruz Avenue could create a lot more problems than it fixes.
Okay. Let's pause for a moment so that we can hear from Sharon Childs, who is the head of the Los Gatos Community Foundation.
Thanks, Larry. Hi, I'm Sharon Childs, Los Gatos Community Foundation president. I'm here in Oak Meadow Park by a historic bandstand gazebo where our history started in 1991. We fund local nonprofits for projects that they do to enhance our community. We also give out community service scholarships to our seniors at our 3 local high schools. The Los Gatos Community Foundation is proud to be sponsoring this Coffee and Candidates series.
Welcome back to Coffee and Candidates, and today we're with Maria Ristow, who is running for one of the 4-year seats in the Los Gatos Town Council. We were talking about getting around, traffic, all those concerns that perennially bother people one way or another, especially during the summer. But there's, of course, the North 40 project going on. And the builder there was assigned, as part of the deal, to build an underground parking lot of 127 cars, for 127 cars, to take care of the local traffic and keep it parked. Now the builder wants to not build it, okay? Right. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I did send a letter to the town council and I spoke. My feeling is the North 40, whether it's built in phases or not, was planned as one whole project. The specific plan covers all 44 acres. And the fact that the developer who planned the first phase is not the developer building it is not our problem. And I think ultimately any underground parking is super valuable. I would much rather have underground parking than street parking. So if we've got extra parking there, that either means that we won't have a car problem later, or that perhaps with next phases, less surface parking can be created. But I think it would be really short-sighted to not do that underground parking right now, because guaranteed when the parking structure is built, we'll never be able to go back and dig under it.
Speaking of parking, which we know is perennially a problem downtown, there's been talk forever about a garage, another parking structure to accommodate so many of the cars that spend all their time looking for parking. What are your thoughts about that? That's
a great question. I will say that we don't know if we need a parking garage. And one of the important things to me is always to be fact-based. So we were fortunate a couple of years ago on our commission, a group of us went out and we did parking occupancy counts. So we went in the parking lots, we were on the streets, and we were counting how many empty spaces there are. So what I'm here to tell you is we do have a parking problem, but it's not that there's not enough paved surface to put cars. We just don't have it, the cars aren't going where the empty spaces are. And to that end, the town did hire a consultant. Dixon Consulting came in, did a great study, and came up with a 3-phase program to address our parking issues. And in the 3rd phase is a parking structure. So the plan is to do the 1st phase. And when we do that, that may or may not solve our parking problem.
And the 1st phase is?
The 1st phase would be to come up with an employee permit parking program. So right now, our poor employees, if they get here maybe after 10 o'clock, all of the all-day parking at the ends of the parking lots are gone. And there are empty spaces down on Miles or north of Highway 9, but if you work down at the spa or if you're down on Main Street, it's unlikely that you want to go all the way there. And so what happens is the employees park in the 2- and 3-hour spaces and have to keep moving. That's a problem for them. That's a problem for customers coming to town because now we've got employees in the spaces where we want our customers. So to address that, there's a permit program going in where the employees can get a permit that will put them in a zone where they can park all day and it's called a Park Once solution. They'll know coming to work that within maybe 2 or 3 blocks, there will be an area where they can park. They'll always be able to find a space, and they won't have to move their car.
Are these areas where cars park now?
There's a variety of approaches. One might be getting the employees that work at the very northern part of downtown to just go that 1 block across Highway 9. And maybe we need to enhance the crosswalk, maybe we need to make it a little more attractive.
Let's build on that for just a second. There's so many questions to ask you. Yeah. With all of the restaurants, so many, opening up and taking parking spaces, doesn't that exacerbate the problem and require action a little faster?
Well, you would think so, although at the moment, our parking lots are not full.
Okay.
I mean, even with all the outdoor dining, we know our restaurants are doing about 40% business. Not all of our businesses are open. And so right now, before the employees come back, we need to make sure we address that solution. But one of the things that the consultant was asked to address was, is it possible to eliminate the parking on Santa Cruz Avenue and still not have a parking problem? And she felt like we had the space.
Okay.
So another novel solution is public-private or private-private agreements. We have banks downtown.
Yes.
People don't bank the way they used to. We've got empty spaces with the spaces being guarded. And so there's a possibility either for the town to come up with an agreement for these private properties, or maybe 2 restaurants can come up with an agreement where they get 10 spaces and their employees can park at the bank lot. And I'm not saying these things will happen, but these are drawn out from a consultant that has successfully helped other communities solve their parking problems.
Okay. Let's talk about a couple of measures on the ballot right here in Los Gatos, right? Measure A, the Finance Commission, changing the structure that we have right now. What do you think about that?
I have mixed feelings about it. I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of any kind of legislation by initiative. I think the problem is when the initiative is written, there's not the freedom for any of the conditions of it to evolve or to be changed by a town ordinance. So right now, all of our commissions are governed by the town council, and the way commissioners are chosen, their terms, absence policies, all of these are decided by the council and by different rules and regulations. This Finance Commission will be a separate one-off. Selection won't be the same. It won't be like the other commissions.
So I'm hearing you say that you're not necessarily against the idea. I don't want to put words in your mouth now,
Okay.
but what I hear is you're not necessarily against the idea, but you certainly don't like it coming about this way. Let the idea be determined by the council.
Right. Well, so then to be fair, the people that put that initiative on the ballot were working with the council and trying to get the type of or Finance Commission they wanted, and did not feel like they were getting any traction there. So I would say that it's going to be critically important to have a Finance Commission. I look at the fact that we have interested, qualified, passionate residents that serve on a variety of other commissions. We've got the Library Board, we've got Community and Senior Services, we've got Complete Streets, where we've got people that are willing to serve, give their time, and be advisory to the council. We need a commission just like that for the finance side of it.
Okay.
And so whether this initiative passes or not, if it doesn't, and I'm elected to the council, I'll be working really hard to make sure that we do have a Finance Commission that is similar to our other commissions.
Okay, let's go to Measure B, term limits. Your thoughts?
You know, some people say that we have term limits. They're called elections. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if you look at the history of Los Gatos, in general, incumbents always win. And what I've seen is kind of refreshing. In 2014, we had 2 incumbents that didn't run for re-election, and we had, I think, 5 people running for 3 seats. So it's just kind of an influx of new voices, new people running. And then we haven't had a lot of competition. And then this year, when we've got 3 seats open and no incumbents, there's 7 of us running. So I don't think there's a lack of people interested or qualified for the town council. And I think that 8 years should be plenty of time to get your town business done.
So does that mean you would vote for it?
I will definitely vote for it.
And what about the argument that says, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater? In other words, great people who are doing a great job are artificially, termed out. What about that? How does that sit with you?
Two thoughts. One is the initiative actually gives an opportunity for somebody who's served 2 terms to take 4 years off and then come back. So there's not really, you can serve more than 8 years, you just have to take a break. The other thing is, I really think in a small town like this, it's incumbent on the people who are leaders to help encourage younger voices, different voices, diverse voices. And to that end, when I've served on commissions, I've always looked for new people to get on the commissions, have a different perspective than I have. And so if I'm elected to the council, I'll be looking to make sure that those other commissioners or other voices in town feel like they know what they need to figure out and learn, so they would be qualified to run for the council.
Well, Maria Ristow, I think with what you're saying, a lot of people are going to learn about you pretty quickly. We're delighted that you came by to see us and to share your thoughts, and I expect you'll be sharing your thoughts with lots of people in the town of Los Gatos. Thank you for coming, and that does it for us today on Coffee and Candidates. See you soon.